Welcome, everyone, to episode 13 of the Starcraft 2 Weekly Whine Live. I'm your host, Ace, and today I'm joined by SugarcultThe2nd. And hopefully, a little later, we're going to be joined by my good friend, iplayasax. Anyway, I set this all up because I always enjoy open and honest conversations about balance in the community, and I feel like it's a little bit hard to find sometimes. So I'm trying to do my small part to change that with this show. If you enjoy, please consider giving a like or subscribe. And this week, we're going to be talking about the update to the PTR patch. And also, we've had some time to play some more games on it, and we've been seeing some tournament games as well. Home Story Cup is going on right now as we speak. So we got a lot to go over. And I think, first of all, why don't we just, introduce yourself to anybody who might not know you? Where can people find you? And where can they check out your stuff?
Hello. My name is SugarcultThe2nd, and basically right now, until at least end of July, I am well found in twitch.tv/SugarcultThe2nd. I'm a Zerg player, EU, basically playing Starcraft 2 ladder about 20 to 30 hours a week. Plus, we are doing I'm doing basically playing in amateur league tournaments, and which means that I also am casting them now and then, and working with the community. We have our own community. It's not my creation. I am part of it. It's called The Void also, and we are also making the stuff around. Like, for example, one of the guys just vibe coded freaking brackets pages. So yeah. That's about it. So you can just find me on Twitch right now, and after that, obviously, on the YouTubes and everywhere else.
On the YouTubes, I love it. All right, awesome. And then, I think I don't know, it might be worth mentioning. I think we casted before. Because I think I met you through Mousy, like a couple years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. It had been a while, but I was like, I was trying to place it in my head.
I definitely know that we came together throughout Mousy. I don't remember if we have casted together, but I know that. I
can't remember.
I think we didn't, to be honest. But we have been like casting like different tournaments at the same amount of times and that sort of stuff. But
yeah,
well,
I was
still
like very
part of the community and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I was like very briefly doing a little bit of casting. And I remember meeting you around that time. Cool. So this will be fun catching up because I haven't talked to you in a while. Yeah, I think first let's talk about the larva changes. Since we're both Zergs here, we can both talk candidly and openly about what we think about the larva changes. So I'll let you share your thoughts first. What do you think?
Out of the statistical point. I mean, it was obvious that it's gonna happen, because we are reducing the amount of workers, therefore we are increasing amount of time that it's gonna be spent while we get to the point where we can spend the money, or we can get enough money that could be spent.
Yeah, where you're just snowballing your economy.
So that's why it had to be adjusted from the statistical standpoint. I think there is a lot of things that I might talk in general. That's a proper heads up, because in general, it for me it looked very logical thing to do. The question is, should it have been adjusted like that immediately? Like, no, what I mean is, like, okay, it's being calculated. I think there is the numbers, and it says that it should be looking like that. That is the first version that came in, and now they fixed it a little bit more. Still it's a buff, still it's a reduction. Obviously that's really cool for the Zergs, especially for the newer people who are coming in. They don't have to be so much reliable on the macro cycles. Hello, that's me being bad at them. And yeah, we have this advantage of just making more hatcheries and therefore skipping the macro cycles and skipping the expensive queens, because queens now seem more expensive, the hatcheries are more expensive, so technically the value of larva has been increased, and the amount of them needed to be increased also because of that. So yeah, for me it seems really logical step. It will be tuned probably in the next patches, sub patches, whatever the things. So yeah, for me it feels better, obviously.
Yeah, I think I would have to echo most of your thoughts there. I think that, like, initially, Zerg felt really miserable to play. And then when they gave us the larva buff, it was like, whoa, this is crazy good. Like, it was pretty strong, I think, at first, when it was like 9 seconds or whatever. And then they nerfed it till a 9.5, and now it's 9.9. And I think that it feels like it's in a pretty good spot right now. And, you know, honestly, like, I talked a little bit about this last week, but, you know, I would have to agree with what you're saying about, like, it just kind of is the logical approach. Because, you know, like you said, the value of larva is higher because you have to pay more for your hatcheries and your queens. So getting larva is going to cost you more now. And then also, your hatcheries provide less supply, so you have to spend the overlord too, right? And especially for Zerg, like, we only get like 4 supply, right? And that's like harder than, I think, Terran and Protoss get like 11 or 12. So it like, I feel like the expansion supply changes hit Zerg a little bit harder. And then because we adjusted the hatch and queen cost, adjusting larva kind of makes sense. I still wonder if we have to do any of this at all, but it's like we're already going in this direction, so if we're going in this direction, then this kind of makes sense to me. And I would say overall, I definitely feel like Zerg is stronger. You know, I'm noticing a lot when I play against Terrans, and it feels a lot like early, like, Legacy of the Void Zerg, when Zerg was like kind of crazy. And it kind of feels like I'm not really that scared of what Terran can do. I'm just kind of like, if I play well, I'm gonna win, you know. And it's, I don't know, it's a little bit hard for me to say because that's also when I started playing, so that feels normal to me. Being like, you know, if I play well, my race is strong, so I can win.
This is about the generalization which I talked about, because now we are talking already at the first impressions after the patch comes through, which I thought it's gonna be a lot more later actually, but okay, whatever intern wants, intern does, that's no problem. The situation is what it is, and we have to deal with it. And the first thing first is, the first impression is that we are pretty much every one of us, probably most likely, is actually just using the same builds that was before the patch, and we just try to adapt them to the actual. And the PowerPoint of when we get the amount of units out of that larva change is just being increased, like especially for the players who are doing all-ins, like for example me. I'm doing 3 base all-in with the Roach Hydra, which is wonderful and everything. And then it was like, okay, now I'm sending my stuff over the map, I'm basically maxed out or whatever, and then if I lose the trade, then I figure out that I have no army. Now I suddenly can have half an army back, even without the macro cycles, which is awesome, obviously. But we are in general, we were doing the old builds. And as it's well known that the Zerg is the easiest to actually adapt to such changes, because there is not much more army compositions or units that might work. Like for example, we are talking against the Protoss, most of them in previous patch were Ling Bang Hydra or Roach Hydra compositions, and then into the late game. I'm talking more about mid game, because late game I'm not gonna never get. And then the Terran side of things, we are talking about, like, for example, roaches, specifically against mech, like Roach Lingbane and Lingbane Hydra against Bio. So those are the two main compositions we have for the Terran and for the Protoss. And obviously, because we are, after the patch, we are building the same things, they look better, they look different, because the other side actually had to adapt more, starting with the Protoss with gateway change. And I don't know about the Terran. I don't think only thing that they suddenly had is the problem that they had 8 workers and they didn't know how to make more. I guess that was the problem.
Yeah.
But you know, it sorts itself out. What I mean is, what is the long shot here is that we need time. We need time to adapt, and especially Terrans, especially Protosses in this case, they just need to figure it out. And believe me, they will. They already have started to figure out the game, and they are not as weak as they looked. And the Terrans also will do the same. So it's gonna come anyways. And as I said before the whatever that was the last patch or the hotfix or whatever, I said, okay, I agreed with whoever said it. I think it was a laser who said it. The game is balanced.
Yeah.
Finally, they are feeling what we were feeling all the time. the short happiness.
Oh man, it's true though.
that yeah, like he was like, now we can see all the Protoss tiers and everything, and then he was like making a little bit of fun, and I was like, well, how long it's gonna last? Well, we can only enjoy it, right, as long as it is. And then, like, for example, last Wednesday I launched the stream, as I'm playing pretty much everything live on stream without much of a delay and everything. And yeah, the suddenly the Protoss starts pulling the 2-base Allens, which like they were popular like when, like, I don't know, a couple of months ago. For example, 3 Void Ray into charge lots. Well, now they build 1 Void Ray and they build the same charge lots, and the amount of stuff that they are getting.
Yeah,
crazy.
They're scary. Like I remember, I've been talking about this a lot on the show, but like when I first heard about the gateway changes, my reaction was like, okay, so we're nerfing warp gate, like, timing attacks pretty hard with the 50-50, and they reduced it to 25-25. But that extra production on the gateway, like, that's massive, and that's gonna lead to some sort of build. You know what I mean? And it's like the same thing that, like what you said about Zerg being a little bit easier to react with, like, new patches, I think is kind of accurate, because being the generally more reactive race and having overlords and things like that, like, we have the advantage of, like, the distance of travel time that it takes you to move across the map to actually get to us. And we get to see, like, when you're placing down, your buildings that lead to the timing attack. So we're able to adapt to those kind of things. So it's like, even if it's the first time that we see some all-in, we can kind of figure it out, and we can kind of be like, okay, I think I sort of know what I need to do, right? But when you play Terran or Protoss, and you're on the other side of that, if you don't know what you're doing, and you're trying to do a timing attack, I mean, if it's not mapped out and hit perfectly, like, it's probably going to fall flat on its face. The chances that the Zerg is just going to be blind to it and not have any units are kind of low. So I think it's safe to say that Terran and Protoss is going to adapt more as the meta develops.
Yeah, that's true. Like, very good example was just one, like, now I finished the casting the finals. It was ZVP finals. The Protoss player suddenly had pulled some magic tricks. I think he got some coaching, because before that he was not doing these kind of tricks. But he has figured out the advantages of patch. He is expanding much more. like bravely, not as before in the 12 workers stuff and everything. And he has figured out how to deal with the compositions that I'm building, which is like not maybe he was aiming for me personally, but he won a Terran player, which I assumed also would be like winning him. So maybe I think he might have gotten actually like coaching, but that doesn't matter. The point what I'm saying is he has figured out how to deal with the stuff. I'm playing still the old stuff. And now the finals, the best of 5 were between the Protoss and Zerg, and that Zerg did do different stuff. He did make, like, for example, he made a Spire every game. First game he won just by flying the Mutas in with the 2-base Muta, which the other guy was going for 2-base Alin. Didn't work out. Basically it was hard countering on the blind, going with Mutas against Glaive of the Depths. And then the next one he did somewhat similar thing, again building a Spire. This time the Protoss is reacting, and he's not used to reacting at the moment. How much he needs to spend, what he needs to build. He's starting building Phoenixes and everything. Meanwhile the Zerg player is like, okay, sure, I see your Phoenixes. So he's building Hydra, then Roach, and he's coming with Hydra, Roach, and just smacking in the face with the 1-1 timing. So the point is that the old stuff we already know, we already recognize, and once it overwhelms, it feels a little bit more painful, because how does the old stuff work in the new patch? And then the new stuff, as soon as we are starting to ask someone or require someone to react to what we are doing, that's when the hardness starts coming in, because we don't actually have never done that before. And yeah, suddenly the game goes completely different way. So now the guy will be familiar with these kinds of styles, and he will learn some new stuff. But yeah, as already you said, that in the two, it's completely different picture playing in tournaments when you are playing against the same people over and over again, and they are already kind of familiar with your play styles and your stuff. So yeah. It's also in general it's not that straightforward, but on the ladder I think it's the same. So new patch, so guys, try new things and be brave, and that will probably work. The question is how legit will it be, and how it will work after a while. No idea.
Yeah.
So
yeah. When the dust settles, which of these builds will survive. Yeah. Because that's sort of been the fear, when like the whole time that this patch is being discussed, it's like the fear is that in 6 months or a year we're right back where we were, and that's sort of it's a serious concern. But I gotta say, as we were kind of saying earlier, like take it while it's good, right? Like, I mean, I'll take what I can get here. Zerg is fun to play right now, and it hasn't been for a very long time, so I'm quite happy as a Zerg player to be playing this game right now.
Yes, and there is also the fear or the consideration that in 6 months we will be where we were before. I don't know. Like, if we are looking that the internet did that hotfix suddenly, some of the changes were out of nowhere, but in general it's like there was a hotfix and it was pretty fast. So the question is, how carefully will he keep an eye on the statistics, for example, how they change over the time or whatever? Will there be any other adjustments over the time? For example, if we are looking, like, for example, in the same Excel tab, right, in a spreadsheet tab, we are looking like, okay, this is 33, 33, 33, very well, everything's fine. As soon as something is up, we think about what kind of changes. These 8 worker changes might have given more room for the intern to actually be able to apply some more changes or some adjustments, because it throws everyone off.
Yeah,
it's not
I don't
like,
think the gateway changes could happen unless we were doing the 8 worker changes, because Protoss would just be so thrown out of whack and everybody else would still be playing normally.
That's and also the warping time and everything else, they would be just insanely doing that. Two base islands would be even more insane. I'm not talking about that they can be now. Like if you are in home story cup, like you hear Hastem talking about the fact that still the olds, like we are used to build the war prism, right, to get the units in, but now instead we just build pylon because the result is gonna be the same, and it's actually cheaper.
Right.
So basically
you don't even need the robo.
like, exactly. So
Yeah.
you don't need the robo. You like the guy with the void ray into the charlottes. He had the proxy robo. I was like, why? But then
Proxy
again, he
robo,
was,
why? Why
yeah,
bother?
Yeah, but he was he did, I think it was Eternity's Edge, and he did have the proxy robo basically to get the war prism, and the war prism he flew in my main base. Okay, kudos for that. To lift it over, yes, if you want to warp the units into the main base of the opponent, then I understand it. But for the run by purposes, you could just use the pylon. So I can imagine if their economy was faster, then we would need to be even faster to pump out the units. But if I don't know, we needed to somehow, maybe it would be balanceable, maybe, but it would be really difficult. Now it's like Intern has freed himself those first 3 minutes of the game to figure out like maybe we could adjust this and that, you know. He needs a breathing room, and he has given himself one, well, in cost of our own time. Well, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
No, I mean, if he doesn't forget the password, everything's fine.
Yeah, true. I mean, okay, real talk here for a second. Like, I seriously think that Blizzard just, like, you know, the Blizzard intern is a Blizzard Classic Games intern, not a Blizzard StarCraft intern. So I think that they have like 3 months out of the year to work on StarCraft, and this is the 3 months out of the year. And unfortunately, that means, like, if something does come up later in the year, I don't think we're going to get a hotfix. And that's why I think we're getting, like, such crazy fast changes right now. My one question with that is, like, why did we wait, like, it felt like we waited, like, 3 weeks on the first PTR version before we started doing updates, and then we just, like, pushed it live right away. That was kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I expected also it will be a lot longer. After hearing the discussions around the things on the PTR which came up, and reactions for people, I was like, well, out of that standpoint is like, okay, changes, I agree, are needed, it's good, but the amount of speed, yeah, it felt a little bit ugly in the 3 weeks. 4 weeks, okay, I understand if there would be hotfix, and like there's some adjustments or whatever, but it's still like, it's like you have the adjustment after a week, then you have another after a week, and then you give 1 more week room to actually see how it works. But this was some kind of mix in between that. And this is not the first time, I believe. I think what was that? Was it the Cyclone fixes or whatever? Something was thrown.
That was
thrown
last
on the
year,
PTR,
I think.
And
I think it was last year. We had that
immediate.
all year. It was bugged the entire year.
No, not about the bug, but I think about the fix or something like that. There was something, some kind of patch which were like, it was kind of hotfix, I guess, after all then, or it was probably the communication was wrong again. But if I understand right, it was like, it was changes which were supposed to go to the PTR, and then it was couple of days and it was on a live. Like,
oh,
why it's public testing realm if we are applying, then call it a hotfix and just launch it, you know, and screw that. Well, who knows.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the whole process is there, so there's kind of no point in speculating, I feel like. But people do wonder about these things. Anyway, I think we can move on to the Reaper and Adept build time change, if you have any
Uh-huh.
thoughts on those. I think it kind of makes sense just because you know, there was like a big long window, like the window where you didn't have your queens out and there was like an adept and a reaper in your base. Like that was much longer on the new patch than it was in the 12 worker start. So it kind of made
Mm-hmm.
sense to do that in my mind. But I do kind of understand why people are worried about, like for the Reaper, for example, like that is definitely going to make 2 racks Reaper and 3 racks Reaper a lot weaker. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Again, the same, like in general, it's like from, if you look from the statistics, then yes, the Reaper is arriving faster, the links were there later, and again, the time of adjustment was super short, and hotfix is made just after a couple of days. There's like,
Yeah.
did we play that many games? Maybe we did. Maybe that was like super, somebody was super, I don't know, like not excited but surprised or shocked or whatever, and convinced the intern that such changes will need to be made. Were they required? I don't know. There's little difference. Again, being worried about some kind of 2 racks or 3 racks Reaper build or whatever, taking that off, I don't know. It's like, okay, we are taking away cheeses. Like for example, my pantry is empty. There are no more cheeses. I have all the cheeses gone with the patch, right? I'm out. Now I need to refill it back on. So yeah, Terran players, congratulations, you have to do the same thing. It's just gonna ask a time, so we have to work it. And yeah, that's the same. I think that both for the Reaper, we could be basically just adjusting the way that we do things, and or the openers for the Zerg specifically, and then eventually we would find a way to actually handle it, which is part of the game, which is cool. But if we're gonna change that, well, I really hope that there was a legit reason, and like the person knows, the intern knows what he is doing. That's my takeaway from that. Other than that, like I don't know, the Protoss. It's already like the probe is there in the natural. You cannot build a natural anymore. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
You have to
The
you
hatch
have to do
blocking
some,
meta is
yeah,
kind of hilarious to me.
yeah, you have to do some wacky opener right now to actually manage to build the hatch. I did Eric's opener all time long because of exactly that reason. So most of the time I wouldn't get blocked, right? The probes don't get to block me, and the cannon rushes I can scout with expensive patrolling drone, and the Reapers are also like basically when they arrive the queens are out. So yeah, now it's completely different. Obviously that is thrown in the trash, and I don't know, it's obviously the time for adjustment and everything. I heard one more good thing. It was kind of sounded close to my heart, I would say, is that there was the openers don't have the flow because of the changes. Or by that I mean that you are floating larva now and then, right? Because well, you open and everything, right? Before it was like you have polished the opener so far that you don't have this issue happening, so you are like super efficient with whatever you do. Like for example, same Eric's opener is like you're floating larva just a little bit of time, but if you were doing the 15 gastric into hatch overload or whatever the proper thing was, you were not floating 1 second and everything. Now is the question, will this changes allow us to have this? And I don't think it will. Therefore, those people who are like working on polishing those openers down might be much more disappointed, I would say. And also it doesn't feel it not feels right. Therefore the openers might be more dependent on, for example, being on time and being able to be more disturbed or something like that. I don't know if it does make sense what I'm saying, but the point is that the opener does not flow as if we are not using the efficiently maximum of the stuff, and it won't be possible. So it feels, the opener feels wonky, and the question is what will be the measurements that we will measure it from now? What will it's going to be, timing or not? How do you think? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the reason why our openers feel so wonky right now is just because of the supply change for your like Nexus, Hatchery, and Command Center giving less supply.
Oh.
If we didn't change that, you could just make 3 extra workers at the start of the game, or 4 extra workers, and then you're just playing normal. You know what I mean? And yeah, there would be like some other possibilities of like earlier like 8 and 10 pools or whatever. But other than that, the game would basically be the same. You know, like adjusting the mineral counts and things like that like does not affect your build in the early game, right? Like the thing that's messing up everybody's builds is the supply change. But again, I think they did that because I think like the 2 goals of this patch are to get away from like 3 base macro and push people a little bit more towards like aggressive 2 base timings. And then the other goal is to like redesign Warp Gate without murdering Protoss win rates completely.
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing from the patch notes, like that's kind of the goals that I'm seeing from this. And so I understand it from that perspective, but like, man, does it suck. Like as a player, like having to deal with that, it's like I have to relearn all my openers and everything. Like, oh man, I am so not excited to do that. But also, having played the patch, there's this weird effect of like, because I can't go on autopilot, I'm forced to think about all of my little micro decisions. And it's actually making me enjoy those micro decisions, if that makes any sense. So it's weird. It's like, I hate the change, but I'm weirdly enjoying the effects of the change. If that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same as yeah. Funny, it's been a lot of things which I have said before the patch and everything. It's just pushing yourself out of the control comfort zone, right? It's like you are very comfortable with what you are doing, and now you are not gonna change it by any means. Like that's me. I'm stubborn, right? I'm just not gonna do anything else. I'm doing this, and I'm doing this because I'm used to it. There is a muscle memory already worked in and everything, and now these kinds of changes are making me to adjust things, making me to do some other stuff. Therefore comes the weird kind of opening time and everything. Obviously over the time we will get, like, I don't know, Lambo will just say, this is what you have to do, this is what the opening, this is what works and everything, and we will probably listen to it like a Bible or whatever. But now it's just the exploration time and figuring it out ourselves. And it actually is, yeah, it could be feeling rewarding when you are figuring things out. For example, me in ZVZ right now, I'm doing some weird 13 pull for some reason as defensive against the 10 pull or whatever. So I'm doing the gastric into pool and then into overlord, and then I'm building like zerglings, and then it depends on if I see him coming over the map, I can build spines or whatever the reaction, I can adjust it. Yes, it's not efficient, yes, it's probably shit, but actually so far it has worked quite the miracles, because when the guy did come it was like 10 pull, I believe, into speed into Banes, what was one version, and then the same guy came with a 8 pull drone pull, which I haven't experienced in this patch from any other person, but the guy did. And I did this Yeah, I did this opening and it works because I have a freaking spine already. I see him coming, I build a spine, and he comes into my base and he figures out that he cannot get to my mineral lane because there is a freaking spine and spawning pool blocking it. Plus there is links already on the way. So yeah, kind of because of the PTSD of protecting yourself against these kinds of rushes, you are cooking up some new stuff, which probably is not efficient, but it works. So that's cool. Enjoy it while it lasts. You know, that's how it
Yeah,
is.
totally.
So and that gives you the appreciation, the happiness, the dopamine for actually that you did something good for yourself, even if it's bad. You know, but you know, it's still good. It works.
Yeah, I mean, if it works in your games, you know.
Yeah.
It's something super funny actually. So I actually do a very similar build in ZVZ as a cheese, but if I get 8 or 10 pulled, it works defensively. It's kind of interesting because I used to do this like super dirty rush in ZVZ. It was insane. I had like 70% win rate. So I would 12 pull and then I would go Bane Nest, not speed. Yeah, which is crazy. And if you time it out right, you can actually be like morphing Banelings in their main base at like 210. And then you split 2 and 2 on each side of their hatchery. So if they pull drones to one side, you go to the other. And you'd blow up a bunch of drones. And it was great. And then in the recent patch here, I found out it's actually better because I can afford to do the extractor trick while I'm waiting for my overlord and then drop the pool at 13 instead of 12. And then I have a little bit of extra minerals and then I can afford the queen right away. And then my queen isn't delayed because previously I had to delay the queen a little bit. So now it all like lines up actually. So the patch actually buffed my 12 pool in a weird way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
I mean, it's like
that's cool.
we really don't know, and we're just gonna see like what builds are gonna survive, and it's kind of an interesting period right now.
Yeah, the example I gave about the 10 pull with the thing did exactly the same thing. I think it was 10 pull. I think he did skip the speed. He started with just he made the Bane's Nest and then he started the speed afterwards, while he was running like 6 or whatever links to my base, and I was doing the pig suggested translation for like Eric's opener. It's like 13 gastric into Overlord 2 drones hatchery. It's like 15 hatchery, I believe, or 16 17 pull or something like that. I mean, like safe, economical, kind of clear opening or whatever. And yeah, the guy comes in with the 6 links and suddenly 4 of them are morphing into Banes. My spawning pool is not finished yet. I'm like, okay, let's pull drones and just go and die. Because that's all I was. I had the backseaters were like, dude, what you doing? You could have done this and that and everything. I'm like, well, I'm gonna adjust my build now. My opener since then changed a little bit. That day I had the PTSD from the 10 pulls all day long. Obviously I lost a lot of games because of that 13 pull opening, but yeah, you need to work it, you know. You work it and then it starts working out. Like for example, today also in the tournament I managed to successfully also catch a person on a reaction. Basically I did transition to the mutas and then back to the roaches or whatever, so he came with aggressive tempo. I'm like, okay, I'm defending with the links and everything. I had the same safe opener and it's fine and such and so forth. I lost some drones over the process and I was like, oh, okay, I'm in trouble, but I managed to squeeze out a couple of roaches and he's obviously reacting with his own roaches. And behind that I gone Spire, and that was glorious. 5 mutas, he's building hydras and everything, and then we met after like 5 minutes of no scouting and everything. He had like 20 hydras and I like had like 40-50 roaches, so it was wonderful.
Like yeah, ZVZ is really weird right now.
Oh, definitely it is. Yeah, we have received knives. We are going to phone booths.
Yep.
But we have never seen the knives, you know. This is some kind of weird shenanigans. This knife is like completely opposite direction, you know. The sharp part is on the back of the
No,
knife.
we're gonna
It's
find a
not
way to
like
make it work
on the
though,
front.
you know?
Yeah, we have to figure it out. Like if you stab, then obviously it works, but like you cannot cut it like you usually could have cut it in normal direction. Now you have to do something opposite. Exactly, that's what's happening. Yeah, that's ZVZ right now.
I played somebody earlier today. I kid you not. So I'm ling rushing this guy, and all of a sudden he's got super early roaches, and I'm like, okay, no worries. You know, I've got ling speed. I'll just surround his roaches. No big deal. He gets burrow. And I'm like, what? and then I was just in shock, like my jaw on the floor as I'm like streaming lings and I'm watching as he's leapfrogging roaches across the entire map. Like he makes it all the way to my base, just leapfrogging roaches with the burrow, having them heal
Without
up.
tunneling claws.
Without tunneling claws. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what am I watching right now? It was the funniest thing.
It's called the 10-minute death animation.
Yeah. I'm watching these roaches like slowly make it to my base. It was on stream. I'll send it to you maybe.
Oh, that's clown
It was a
fiesta.
good one.
That's, we have
A true clown fiesta.
We actually tested with a microbial change also. We tested with the lings against roaches. I was going for 2-base roach, and the other guy was going for the as much as possible economy, basically to get his lings upgraded and such and so forth. And yeah, no good. If you see that the guy is like really like going for 2-base roach, you'll have confirmed that there is no way he has no banelings nest, and you are going for lings. You could get actually +1 upgrade, like the attack upgrade, and then get infestors with microbial. It's painful. there is a world where the Zerg does not have to play roach in meta, or does not play roach in meta in nearest future.
And that is fascinating and terrifying to think about. That is truly uncharted territory.
Yes, because the Muta meta is still strong even after the sport change. It
Right,
was not strong enough to actually punish the Mutas
So that could encourage
hard enough.
the microbial
So
meta.
that's still not scaring people away. The Lingbane stuff is still Lingbane stuff. It stays that way. And now the question is, how can you make efficient build and catch out? Basically, you are reading what the opponent is doing, and if it's like 2-base roaches, can you actually manage to squeeze out? Like in the previous patch, whenever they did the 3-base +1 speed, so basically you make Evo, you make +1 melee first, and then you go for the speed, and you have 3 hatcheries, and you are pumping the lings out. I found out that the only thing that could have beaten from 2-base was if my roaches got +2 attacks, and then you managed to squeeze yourself in some corner, and then you managed to kill them. Otherwise, he will probably just go full out in the 3rd base, get the mutas, and you are basically dead, because you cannot expand against the pile of lings which are running around and eating you away. So now, because of larva change, the economy change, and everything else, it feels like it's my instinct or my feeling. I haven't tested it, and I have no idea how to realize it. Obviously, there's a lot of gaming that needs to be in the play, that there is a world where basically Lingbane is the only thing that you need in ZVZ, the time of the upgrades, and the roach just cannot come into play unless you have like burrow and tunneling claws. But even with those, be careful, because infestors with the microbial is a thing. So yeah, that's my feeling, but it's just a feeling. I hope I'm wrong, because I love roaches. Don't take
Roaches
them
are
away
awesome.
from me.
I feel you. All right. I mean, speaking of roaches, what do you think about the force field change and Ravager Bile not destroying them in one hit? I see your
I'm
reaction.
waiting. I'm waiting for the freaking Protoss to come in with the sentries and just blocking the pathway to the natural. There was a meta once.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know,
I
a year
know. I
ago
have a
or a
friend
little
who
bit more.
tells me about it all the time. Anytime force field comes up, he tells me because he's just like traumatized to no end
Yeah,
from that from Heart of the
yeah.
Swarm. Yeah.
Yeah. The freaking prism has one freaking sentry in there, and it's just
Yeah.
dropping in your main and just blocking the natural. And you don't have the Ravagers. You have a couple of bit of army over one side, bit
Yeah.
of army on the other side. And obviously, if they were together, you could have hold. But now, because they are separated, they're split up, and the
Yeah.
freaking sentry is getting more energy. Yeah. No, I don't
Yeah.
know, man. It's just you see the sentry, then consider making two Ravagers just in case. Because two Biles will obviously take it down. At least I think so. I don't know, maybe I'm
Yeah, two
wrong.
biles take it down. Yeah, yeah. So
It's not one
now,
Bile anymore.
right. So like this was something that I want to clarify actually because I posted something on Reddit about this, but maybe, not everybody saw it. Yeah, a lot of people were wondering about like because it says in the notes instead it destroys 50% of its duration. And there were a lot of people who were wondering like, so if you cast a bile, it reduces it to half. Then if it hits it with another bile, does it reduce it to 25? Or does that get rid of it, right? And then 12 and but no, that's not
Yes,
how it
yes.
works.
No, that is how it works, and it resets time. So if you hit it, like, it lasts for what, like 9 seconds or whatever. If you hit it with bile when it only lasts for one more second, it will reset to 4.5 seconds, and then you and then
I
when
thought
it's
you were
again for
serious for a
1 second,
second.
and then you hit it again, then it's 2.25 seconds. Yes,
Add me in the
that's
first
exactly
half,
what
not gonna
happens.
lie. Oh man. That would be so awful. But yeah, no. I tested it like immediately. Like as soon as this change went up, like I was like, I have to know. Is that actually how it works? So I got into unit tester and I checked, and no. Like it removes 50%, so it's minus half of its max duration. So whatever time it has, it subtracts 5.5 seconds. Which is much more reasonable. I think
Good
all
to
the
know.
Zergs were wondering about this. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to bring up was so I have to ask, on the 12 worker start, before this change, before this first field change in Legacy of the Void, have you ever lost to a sentry force field rush where they force field your ramp and you just don't have Ravagers, so you're just like, well, fuck. Like, has that happened to you in Legacy? Because it's happened to me.
Yes.
So that's really my question is why are we doing this? Because it seems like the reason why Protosses don't do this is that they have better builds, not that this build isn't
Yes.
viable. If you ask me.
That's the same as why they made the Spire cheaper. Basically, they are just renewing the variety, the strategies, or the amounts of compositions that are more viable or that could be viable. So it's like it's giving a buff for a reason that it might be viable, and we might try it and we might play it, basically, and then see from, if we are looking again from for the big internal spreadsheet in the third monitor up on the above the four others. Yes, then he is checking out, okay, this is the builds that they are doing, this is the unit that is built. The sentry was not the unit that was built enough, even though the hallucinated Phoenix can scout everything, I guess, or it's not used in the main meta in the lower leagues or whatever. So now we just give him a little bit of nudge. In the big leagues, people probably not gonna use it anyway because yes, they have the better builds and everything,
Right.
and then the lower leagues might actually consider it. It's the same reason, for example, they gave the little adjustment for the infestor, which is able to neuroparasite a worker until the building is finished. Basically YouTube content. So there you go.
Here, hang on. I have something to say here, but I'm also gonna bring in Sax because he's finally here. Yo, glad you could join us. Sorry. I was gonna say something. Oh, yeah. So what you're saying about like incentivizing with little buffs to try to make something a little bit more attractive, like that's something that I've noticed like a long time ago. It's just a Blizzard thing, and I think whoever's in charge of doing this right now, you know, whether or not they were directed to by Blizzard, I think they also understand this philosophy of like when you want players to try something different, or when the meta is stale, you know, you want to don't do like a small adjustment to something to make it like, you know, oh, maybe a little bit more attractive or whatever. You usually have to go like kind of big. And that's why, like, you know, with the Spire, for example, you know, we had to reduce it by like, what was it, like 10 seconds build time or something, and 50-50. You know, like that made it a little bit more attractive, right? Like that's a pretty big change in StarCraft. You know, if they were to just reduce it by like 25 minerals or something like that, we'd be like, no, we're not going to use that, right? But the idea is, you know, if you do a big change, you get people to try out these other options, and then if problems come up or just over time, you'll tone it down with a little bit of hot fixes later on. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a philosophy that I think makes sense. So I get that that's why they're doing this for Force Field, but I definitely don't think that they need to, because I think that Force Field is already viable as a build, and it's really just the fact that there's better builds available and better compositions available.
Yeah, it comes down basically to fight, and like I'm thinking like is there any additional value? I don't think the change, for example, for mine lock-on time was that kind of change. Definitely not. But I'm visualizing all the times that I have seen the force wheels being changed. I think the only thing that I can imagine it's being like with this buff more useful is to block that additional supporting re-supporting units from the hatcheries or whatever the places, to block that in for additional time. I don't think in general fight, yes, it might be it's increasing the value of the force build in a way also, but yeah, I don't think so. The changes of Spire, obviously we opened up the muta meta in the ZVZs, and obviously we opened up the 2-base muta, which for I don't think it was before like that, but maybe it was. I have played the StarCraft 2, specifically played it for 3 years, so like my memory about the previous stuff is only like big tournaments and commentaries and everything that has happened there. So I'm not able to talk about meta in like previous versions of game or whatever. So yeah, I'm toddler basically in StarCraft 2.
Well, I think with Sax here, I think maybe we should, and we just brought this up, talk about the Widowmine change. Because Sax is a Widowmine enjoyer. What was that?
I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I am definitely a enjoyer of the Widowmine. If I had to pick one unit that Terran could keep forever, it'd be the Widowmine.
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, I've said this before. Widowmine's one of my favorite units. I know a lot of people hate it. It just brings me so much
joy.
Right? I mean, I can understand why a lot of people hate the unit. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It can definitely be a frustrating unit. But I
There
also
was a time. There
yeah,
was
sorry, go
definitely a
ahead.
time in StarCraft history where the Widow Mine was way too strong. Like the fact that you couldn't see where it was firing at. It was this cloaked unit that would all of a sudden delete a ton of stuff. Yeah, that was crazy. They've made so many changes, and I think it's reached a point. Previously, before this patch, it was fine. It's another random change I don't get. I think the
Yeah.
Widow Mines was in a fine spot.
I think it
Yeah, I would
was
agree with that.
basically made from the to stop the 2-base muta from happening so often.
Ah.
That's
would
my
kinda make sense.
that's my little feeling. That's I have a nudge, a sense, the sugar sense, the glucose level is rising whenever we are figuring out that if we think about what mines are used for, then it's obviously the run bys of lings or that kind of stuff. In the ZVT specifically, I would say that they are one of the scariest animals when we are talking about mutas flying in, and that would make sense. That so you cannot dodge with the mutas the mines as that easy as you could have before. And yeah, that's kind of is giving extra value for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could 100% see that because I've definitely experienced plenty of times where I'm like, okay, I got these Widow Mines here, and the Muta player, that's their baby. They're not going to sit there and fly mutas across the map and not pay attention to them. When they're using their mutas, they're watching their mutas, and so they usually don't fly into Widow Mines and lose them. So changing the Widow Mine to actually punish, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
think
it's
it
definitely like a
was too
zoning
massive.
tool. Yeah, currently, but it's like if you're reducing the reaction time, I could see how that would definitely change that.
That's a good point. And I actually initially wanted to argue against that point, but it actually makes a lot of sense because, yeah, I'm not using Widow Mines to directly counter the mutas, right? Like I'm not going to shut the mutas down entirely with the Widow Mine, but I'm going, if it's my tool that I have to take care of this little area of the map and give my other units a chance to actually defend against the mutas, having that faster firing time definitely enables that.
And it's as much friendly fire as much as opposing. So basically, I think the also thing which might be changing from that isn't that changing? Like I know that there was the Reburo, where the professionals, the pros were like seeing that it locks on, and then they were unborrowing it to or stop it from firing and unborrowing and like micromanaging them.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that might screw with that one too right now.
Yeah, you're not going to have as much.
It actually nerfs that.
Yeah, and it's
because
making
because you
maybe
have less time. Because like if the time was like 3 seconds, for example, then you could just like perpetually deny mining, because it would be like impossible for you to ever slip up and like let the mine fire. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But if they make the time shorter, it's like it's actually easier for you to like mess up and actually let the mine fire when you would have preferred to retarget it.
Yeah, it's a little premature action there, you might say.
Premature Widow mine firing.
I mean, it's an advantage for the players of lower skills and the MMRs, right? Because you don't have to know this option. It's not a possibility anymore. Before it was, now it's not anymore a possibility that you can actually micro with that. So there is not a possibility when he's gonna spend big monies for coaching, the coach is gonna start teaching him how to micro the mine, right? It's not anymore like that stuff might be too difficult for them. So it's making game easier also. But obviously it's dual threat, the mine itself anyways, because if you are running it with the marines and or in the mineral lines and the lings run in, then obviously there is a possibility for friendly fire. So
I have to say you know what I'm gonna say, right? gonna say my favorite Widowmine quote, or not, it's not really a quote. It's my philosophy about Widowmines. You know, I think of Widowmines as a great unit because they're a thinking man's unit. You know, they make you ask the important questions. Questions like, is it Widow yours or is it Widow mine?
There's
I love Widowmines.
Those moments really stand out in the history of the game. When you think back across the decade or so of professional StarCraft, and you remember the moments where the pros are doing those incredible micro battles, and they lift all their army up into their medevacs and try to fly away, and the Widowmine makes that last heroic shot and destroys all four of your medevacs. No, you don't.
Every time I see that, I'm just like, StarCraft is so fucking peak. Like, how could you hate on the Widowmine? Like, this is fucking cinema.
Unless it happens to you.
Yes,
To you, but...
And then you're like, GG, fuck this, uninstall.
Yeah, somebody fix this game. I'm tired of being the subject of this literary masterpiece.
Oh, man.
About mines, I haven't enjoyed yet the battlecruiser mine. On my skin after the changes, I have a major PTSD of that kind of stuff. Like it's nasty build itself. Like they are flying the BCs and then putting the mines in between the pathing where your corruptors would come to kill the BCs or whatever, and then the mines are just shutting them down. So you have to all the time watch out for the actual mines. The nastiest way to play that game is against someone who is stream sniping you, because then he definitely knows where your corruptors are coming from. So yeah, it's I am curious how bad does it look now with that combination specifically. But other than that, as in general change, it was, well, as it is the dual threat. As I said, it's like maybe to withhold the ability or the amount of 2-base muta that were produced for the Terrans to deal with, and that's all I can imagine. And other than that, it's okay. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I just personally found it kind of shocking because it's like, why are we changing the Widowmine? It doesn't feel like the Widowmine needs adjustments, but you know, after seeing it, it's like, it's definitely scary how fast they fire. But, you know, I'm not immediately in panic mode over this. Like, honestly, I think the bigger change, and this is going way back, but way back they buffed its, like, build speed, because at the time they also nerfed, like, its detection or something like that. And then they reverted the detection stuff, but kept the build speed. So now Widowmines just build faster. I think that was a way bigger change, you know, and that actually scared me when that change happened. This change doesn't really scare me. It's just sort of a, like, interesting, why are we doing this? How do we feel about this? There was also, I was a little bit worried that it changed the interaction of Lings running over creep. And I made a thread about this on Reddit, and I felt bad because I realized after that it wasn't actually the reason why that was happening. It's a little bit more complex, the interaction. And I tried to explain by, like, editing the post, but I think a lot of people, like, didn't read it. And they just, like, kept piling in, being like, oh, Widowmine's so broken, I hate this unit. And it's like, it's not really the situation that we're in, you know? It's definitely changing the interaction there, but to kind of clarify, so when Lings run over a Widowmine on creep with speed, it's still possible for the Widowmine to fire on the Ling. But if the Ling is off-center from the Widowmine, so it crosses over the Widowmine radius, but it's not in the center of the circle, then it can just roll right through. It can just run right through the circle, and it doesn't fire the Widowmine. But, so now that the Widowmine fires faster, you know, I haven't done testing on this, but I'm guessing the range of how far you can be from the center and the Widowmine will still fire is now much higher. And I don't know how high that is, but it definitely changes that interaction, and it makes it more cost efficient to just like leave widow mines around the map. And for lower level players, like gold and below, that actually scares me a little bit, because that's like where the widow mine is really tilting and you don't know how to fight it. You know what I mean? I can understand
100%.
why people would not like it because of that. But in terms of like how it feels on like diamond and above, probably even platinum, I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue.
This begs the question. Do you introduce a tiered system where certain units are only available to certain ranks?
Oh god. No. No.
Like, you can only have the widow mine in a diamond versus diamond game, right? You know?
That would just feel so shitty. Like, if you played Starcraft as like a lower ranked player, to me it would feel like you're like a kid who's playing with like like the playset kitchen with like the plastic stove and like, you know, like
you got the little pullback.
I've got the roach with the rounded edges on it.
It's training wheels.
Yeah.
You got the pool floaties on.
Yep. Everything's soft. I mean, you know.
Yeah, the bronze players are like basically Zerg gets roaches, Terran gets marauders, and Protoss gets stalkers, for example, and that's it. You're done. That's the limitation of the units, and then if you get higher, then you get unlocked more. Yeah.
Then you unlock more units.
I was thinking about it actually. One day I was imagining the insane delusion of having the balance for according to what kind of league you are in. Not the disabling units, but balancing the game. Probably that's insane, because then technically once you get promoted you need to reinstall the game. So that's where my thought process did stop. But it felt really cool for a little bit of moment, you know, to have like okay, if you are like you want to play this, then you are in this league or whatever, but then it's obviously no use. It's the same grass for everyone. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah. It's an attempt to address an actual problem that exists, because if you balance the game for the highest level players, you got a completely different experience for the lowest level players, but they're all trying to play the same game, right? And it happens so fast. You can relate it to stuff like chess or checkers, where it's turn-based and you have time, and you can't argue balance because each side is basically a mirror matchup. But it would be really nice to see the same level of balance in StarCraft or a video game that you could have, that we know exist in like card games and in chess or checkers, you know?
Yeah, that's the dream.
Technically, that means that there are no changes to the game.
Right,
that's
true.
also
like
the dream.
Chess has been the same for how many thousands of years? Yeah,
no.
100% true.
I mean, I'm one of those maniacs who, like, you know, I actually want Blizzard to get the game to a point where they don't have to patch it ever again for balance. You know what I mean? But like getting to that point, oh man, like I don't know if we're ever gonna get there. You know, it feels like we're not even heading in that direction. You know, it feels like we kind of get sick of a stale meta and then we shift things up.
Yeah, and the question is, do you want the game to be played? Do you want it to be like forever alive and forever existent, and then the community and everything else included in the party? Because if you don't change anything, then obviously it gets boring sooner or later for everyone, and it's like, I don't know. There is the chess is in that way is like, as an example, is not much more simpler. I would say it's much more the professionals still, like they see your moves which you have learned from some book or whatever, the YouTube video or tutorial, and they recognize it immediately, right? It's the same as, for example, me, like the lower league, as I have been playing against against like the stronger people. Like we were sitting in Discord call, I'm playing against the guy who basically is looking at what I'm doing and basically telling what's my game plan. So it's the same also in the chess, and it's gonna be the same in this game. The question is, will then this game will be played as much as it's played now, as much as it's interesting now, if it's going to be all over the same things. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be ditched. I think there is a lot more other options. Yes, the chessboard is different because it's a board game, same with the cards and everything. It's real, where we have to, like, we can bring it to our grandpa or whatever, and he knows it because it's super old and he might have played it. But if we suddenly pull out the laptop and we want to play Starcraft with the grandpa, and grandpa will be like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, but maybe one day we'll be the grandpa that knows how to play Starcraft, but not the virtual reality games.
No,
Yes.
that's becoming a reality. That is okay. We are having old enough game, but the changes that has been already done until this moment has already changed the games the way that it is.
That's true. Yeah, it's
And
not Grandpa's Starcraft anymore.
Yeah, it's it's very apparent that we've seen a period of StarCraft 2 that was much more vibrant than now, right? But when it comes to real-time strategy, I think it's also very apparent there's just no other game that's this resilient
Close to competing
in the genre.
Yeah. I mean, Age of Empires 2 has had a recent resurgence, but I think StarCraft is still the king of RTS.
Yeah,
that's
like
really
it's
where it'll come down.
It'll probably never be the game it was, but until literally computers don't exist anymore and we're in some other dimension that like we're like, wow, I can't believe we used to play video games on computers. I think this will probably be the game for real-time strategy.
Yeah, I mean, me and you have talked about this a lot. Like, StarCraft just does so much right that it's really hard to compete with another RTS. I mean, we saw with Stormgate, like, they had a lot of money behind them and a lot of talent, and it failed miserably. It's really hard to get that right. Anyway, I think we can probably move on, and let's talk about the mothership. How do you guys feel about the mothership getting a little bit of a nerfy poo? How do we feel about that?
Any nerf to Protoss is a good nerf.
Yes. Speaking my language, Sugarcult laughing over here. Yes. Preach. Just to be clear for anybody who's listening and isn't watching, mothership shields were reduced from 350 to 200, and health was increased from 350 to 400, so they lost, 100 hit points, and 50 of them were shifted to shield, or shifted to health. I mean, am I understanding that right? This is a 150, and this is an increase by 50. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, the fidget spinner build. I don't know, man. It's crazy. And
How have I never heard that before?
It was in Home Story Cup. I think it was Lorimbo who was calling it that. So basically, they were rushing the mothership, and this might be also the same statistical changes as the mines. Basically, that it was so massive. I didn't experience it as a diamond player. Now I do experience it, that the people are rushing the mothership and they are with the storms below them. But yeah, that the I can imagine what would be if that mothership would be even with the old HPs and more other thing. A little bit of nerf obviously is a good one, because if that was again big mass of people building the same thing in the same matchup over and over and over again, and it was really successful with a high win rate, then kind of obvious outcome is that it gets nerf in a hotfix if such hotfix is applied. So yeah, that would be my reasoning why it could have been done like that. Other than that, well, mama ship is mama ship. Whenever Protoss is in trouble, he calls his mother. That's it.
Mic drop. No. Yeah,
true.
no, I mean, I think I think the mothership, I think it was definitely like too fucking strong. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, it's just too strong, like I think that when we did gosh, what was that, like last year, where we did these redesigns where we gave it like 7 attacks and it can move and shoot and all the abilities are cooldowns now, and it's like, whoa, it is crazy strong now. And it went from a unit that we saw it like one every like 1,000 games or something, it felt like. And it was like kind of hype. It was like kind of like, oh shit, like Pog, he's actually going mothership. Crazy. Or when like that had to have been Hero, who built a Nexus in the Terran's base, in his main base, and then like proxied a mothership in his main and then like recalled into it or something like that.
Man.
Like that was crazy.
That's great.
But it has to be super rare or it doesn't feel really cool. I think Zombie Grub said this recently, and I agree. Because, we're seeing a lot, and, I've also been feeling it on ladder, where, like, Protoss will open Stargate and then just, like, go straight to Mothership. And I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, you're going straight to your endgame hero unit, which hero units in StarCraft, it still rubs me the wrong way. But, but putting that aside for a moment, just doing that as your opener is, like, that shouldn't be a thing. Or if that is a thing, it should be super rare and a massive gamble. You know what I mean? I'm fine with it if it's a massive gamble. But if it's like, you can just do that and it's a legit strategy, I have a problem with that. So I really agree with this. Also, I have another thing to rant about the mothership. The cooldown. Maybe I should look this up. But like, so if I'm understanding right, the mothership right now, all their abilities have a 20-second cooldown or something like that, or a 60-second cooldown. What is this? I have to look at this. Okay, so mass recall is 90-second cooldown, 89. Time warp is a 60-second cooldown, and cloaking field is a 50-second cooldown. So okay, so time warp and cloaking field are about a minute, and mass recall is a minute and a half. Okay. That's a little bit better than what I thought it was. Sorry, long-winded, but my point was that the amount of like uptime that the mothership has on its abilities, because the abilities last kind of a long time. They have like a time warp has a 9-second duration, cloak has a 20-second duration, right? So I mean, the amount of like uptime versus downtime for their abilities just feels kind of crazy, especially because it's like you're not going to be fighting every second that the mothership is alive, right? And fights in StarCraft usually don't last that long. So it's like, it feels like with the current mothership, they just always have an ability available anytime you fight them. They're either going to have cloak or time warp available for them, right? And like that just feels crazy to me. What was that?
I want to agree because like I hate Protoss, but this is probably one place I probably won't. I feel like you only get one you only get one mothership. It's super slow. It's pretty expensive.
So it should be strong.
I think I don't. Why not, right? Like I think it's all the other stuff that's on top of that makes it feel like they got these infinite abilities. Like you get hit with storms and time warp and recall and like the abilities just keep going on, and I don't know, maybe if you, but I think the problem is like if you think about it in terms of the unit over the long period of years and how frequently it might get used or be a game changer, it doesn't tend to be that so having it in a spot where it actually does impact engagements or the outcome of a game might feel strong, but maybe it's just allowing it to have a viable spot in the meta.
Like you're basically saying, if that 400 was spent on something else, like maybe Protoss would have just won anyway. You know what I mean?
Possibly, yeah. Or and like, or also I'm saying let's say you really do believe these things are too strong and you nerf it and nobody uses the unit anymore, then you just might as well take the unit out of the game.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think there's enough room to nerf it to see it have a spot.
I think,
you know,
I don't know. It's like, I think these abilities are just crazy powerful is really like where my complaint comes in, because like like if the abilities weren't that strong, I would have no problem with Protoss having like an ability always active. You know what I mean? Like there's like the fucking, what is it? Oh, I'm thinking of what is it called? The Kodo Beastmaster in Warcraft 3, which like always has an aura, and it's just like an aura generator unit. Like that's what it does. But it's not super strong. Like it has kind of a weak attack, if I remember right. So it's like you only want to make like 1 or 2 of them in your army, because it's like an aura buff to your entire army, right? But the ability itself is like not crazy strong. I don't even remember what it does. I think it gives you like extra armor or something like that. But
and I see that, you know, like the ability to cloak your units is very, very strong. Like,
it's huge, and the radius is massive. It has a radius of 5, and then with Time Warp, it's like the reduction is huge. The attack and movement speed is reduced by 40%. You know, so it's they're massive reductions.
What if when you hit the cloak ability, it gave cloak to units that were within its range at that moment, and then it stopped providing cloaking for any new units?
That'd be super
and
weird.
Those units that were cloaked would have that cloak for the duration of the ability, you know, whatever that is.
I just had this image of a Protoss like whiffing the cloak and like missing his army. It's just a wasted cloak now.
There's like 3 probes on the ground that are cloaked.
That would be interesting.
Or you could cloak a probe and send it into your opponent's base and cannon rush.
Yeah. I don't know. Cloak is like a really hard one. I think it's just the radius is like a little bit too large, because it's just the fact that like, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about this from the Zerg perspective, but like, you know, if we can't abduct it, which I don't know, did they change that? Can we abduct it again? No, they changed tanks, but we still can't abduct the mothership, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they brought it back for like 2 seconds and then changed their mind.
Yeah. So like, if we can't abduct it, then the only way we can kill it is with corruptors, right? Like that's
There's
it.
Storm and Archon and everything
and then
else.
you're like, through the Storm and Archon, killing it with corruptors. And whenever you kill an air unit with corruptors, you're gonna be focus firing, so your units are just like gonna naturally clump. Like even if you like split them into this like perfect arc, they're still gonna make little clumps in the arc, and that's where the Archons are gonna shoot up at you. So
then,
I don't know, like
if you're successful,
I just look at it as like it's this really weird unit, because it's like if it protects the entire army that's underneath it, and then you can also prevent me from reaching the unit and it can just fly away. Like I don't see it. It just feels like the counterplay is like really limited, so it feels really shitty to fight against.
On top of that, if the corruptors are successful in their mission and they kill the mothership, now the corruptors are now useless, and you know, congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah, now you have 12 corruptors versus Archons
that don't do anything.
Yeah.
Good luck piecing on the buildings, and then expect some cheap stalkers being summoned under to deal with them easily, because you cannot shoot them. It's like this. I've been complaining about this for a while also, just that the Protoss has like every expensive unit that the Zerg is building is countered by very cheap unit from Protoss side. Well, technically they are expensive too, but it's just the thing is like, okay, you are countering something with Hydras, then he just needs to provide the charge lots, right? You are countering something with the Corruptors, just Stalkers, easy peasy. I'm like, okay, how do I deal with their Muta? That's an Archon, okay, that would be expensive, but
I will say it was what's her name? Scarlet, I think, was the one that just made like 6 million Hydras as a result of like the larva change, I think. Like the ability
Oh,
to
really?
make so many Hydras actually gives the Hydra a little bit more push in this environment to actually combat the Sky Toss.
Interesting.
Very interesting to watch. Yeah, like she was
Huh.
dumping hot, like Zergling levels of Hydras at this. I
Yeah,
think
because
it
they're
was
not cheap. So,
no,
yeah,
like
that's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, at the start of the whenever the patch went live, I was playing like the 3 base all in the 66 drones Roach Hydra against the Protoss in general, and everyone who went with some weird kind of midway to the air toss basically lost. They just, it didn't work. It's like 4 carriers out is not enough to deal with, or 16 hydras can actually deal with the 4 carriers that were made by that moment. So if they are going for pure carrier rush or something like that, then we are talking differently. I haven't seen anyone rushing tempests yet, but probably will. So yeah, I don't know. It's the hydras are now back on track, or there is a room for them. I think who was Hastem it was who was talking about also not only 2 base muta against the Terran, but also 2 base rushing the hydras. I think there is some sort of narrative which they are, or propaganda which they are speaking, maybe because it sucks, or maybe just because there is actually a room of doing that. And I think I have seen, actually, I think Serral did do that, like 2 base Hydra kind of approach. So that's also is something that is still going to be explored. So yeah, that also is back.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Hydra get to be a non-meme unit. That'd be nice.
That would be nice. You know what I really want for the Hydra? I want us to have merged upgrades again. Please.
Or
Let me do my
Medivacs.
Hydra timing attack. 7 minutes. Protoss doesn't have Storm, and they just die. I love it. Why can't we go back? Oh, those are the days.
We see Zergos winning, but we can't have Heart of the Storm over
Patch
again.
incoming.
No.
Oh shit. All right, well, all right. I think let's talk about the gas change a little bit here. So it's not the most exciting change, but it is a change nonetheless. So they
I think it's
changed the gas back to 2000. I think this is what it originally was. I should check this.
When you look at games that successfully make it into the later stages, this is actually one of the most impactful topics you could bring up. It's always the gas.
Oh wait. So originally they increased it from 2,250 to 2,500. And now they're reducing it back to 2,000. So it's lower than it was before. Interesting.
I think it was Hastem who was telling that it's more like pushing people to expand more.
Yeah.
So it's like not making the games last super longer. So if we are late game, then we have to make it work, and if we don't, we don't. You know, it's more like cutting off the extra like 10 minutes after the 13th minute mark or whatever, and then the other option is the other thing is that we now, if we are taking more gas expensive trades or army compositions, then we have actually to go for the 5th for the 6th base. I think he was the one who also said that it was the 4th base camping. Which is basically we build 4 bases maximum, and then we are happily living ever after, and hopefully winning the game without taking the 5th or whatever. So the time discrepancy between the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd base and 4th base was kind of short, but between the 4th and 5th it was like ages. So basically now we have to take that fifth base to have more gases, so we could actually sustain the composition with which is more gas heavier or whatever which we need. So I think that could be also pretty legitimate reason. I think that people are going for that, and how it changes the game basically on the real in the lower leagues or whatever. Then obviously from the minerals we are making the units with the minerals, which is lings, marines, hellions, zealots, and buildings obviously. So yeah, probably like putting a little bit more the in amount of army we will have to mix in, or we will be mixing in more like these mineral only units, because the gas is less available, and we have the shorter amount of time to actually end the game with whatever we have started. So I believe that there is a world where this is actually a good idea, but
I've definitely like felt the. I talked about this previously, but like it weirdly feels like economies are more mineral based now in the new patch, and I think it's because of like the town hall supply changes, like Nexus Command Center hatchery giving less supply. Like it kind of forces you to prioritize minerals a little bit more, because you need a little bit more minerals than you previously did to keep expanding at the same rate. And then the other thing that I think about this, I think this is a nerf to Zerg. Because Zerg in the late game, we are gated super hard by our gas for like any sort of crazy late game stuff that we want to do. But we can make infinite Zerglings with like mountains of minerals that we have just like lying around and we're not doing anything with. And we can see this in tons of pro games. And this has been the case for like a really long time. And Zerg has just been like that for a long time. I don't know if this is a legacy thing or if Zerg has always been that way, but ever since I've been playing, you know, Zerg has always been like really gas hungry race in the late game. You know, in the early game we don't need gas at all. But in the late game we're like super hungry for it. And I always feel that in my games when I'm like, you know, I want ultras and I want adrenal and I want 3-3. And then I get all those things and now I can't afford to make any ultras out of gas. You know what I mean? So I see a change like this and I'm like, okay, I can see how, you know, they might be looking at some of these games where Zerg is literally taking like 2/3 of the map, and they're like, maybe if we did this, it would kind of limit that a little bit. I don't know. I'm just guessing, total speculation here. But I do think that this change hits Zerg a little bit harder in the late game than it hits the other races.
which means that we will have to abuse the minerals to build static defense spore spines more, so push out with the creep, and then like move the spore spine forests around, which is obviously a solution, but not as happy and not as straightforward as we would obviously like it to be.
And then the other thing is, you know, if this is the effect that it has, then it'll make Zerg take like further expansions, because like the expansion being further out makes it harder to defend, right? So if you're being required to take more bases further into the map, that's gonna make Zerg a little bit more vulnerable to those pushes. Because I'm thinking about like, gosh, this was like 2020, I want to say, when we had the terrifyingly boring turtle stalemate meta, where we were like literally mining out the map in tournaments, like, very reliably, and it was like miserable.
Best of one tournaments.
Yeah. And we were just like so many of those games came down to whether or not Zerg could take an offensive hatchery, like a hatchery on the opponent's side of the map, and actually hold it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I see this change and those games come back up in my head, and I'm like, I see the connection there. I don't know if I'm just, drawing a connection where there is none, but that's kind of one of the things that I noticed from this.
Or maybe they just nerfed the Serral Nidus, where he's putting the Nidus heads in on a corner basis. So because now they are gassed costly, so because they will be expensive, so it will be more efficient to actually build spores and spines as you are supposed to, not have a Nidus worm head popping up whenever you need to evacuate the drones and that. But that's just joke.
Yeah.
Watching us have several wins right now, so
Yeah, I was about to put that on my other monitor here. Oh gosh, wrong tab.
okay, I have a question. I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
When have you keybinded creep tumor?
Never done it. I was like, I read that change and I was like, oh, that's massive. That's going to be huge. But I thought that you could spread creep using the minimap. And then I realized that you couldn't. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to use it. Like,
No,
if you could use the
like,
minimap, that would actually be OP as shit. Because you could, like, hotkey your tumors, like, fairly early in the game. Because realistically, like, if you get good at creep spread, you start to notice patterns. And you notice that, like, you have, like, 3 tumors in this column, 2 over here. It'll be different for the maps. You play enough games on different maps, and you're like, I like putting my creep tumor here on this map, because then my highway goes this way. Like, you start to notice these things, right? If you're at that level of creep spread, and then you also allow me to control group them and spread them on the minimap, then it's literally just I tap the key on my keyboard and I hold down my rapid fire hotkey and I wave my mouse over the minimap. Like, that would be so fast. Like, that would be crazy. So if they allowed me to do that, I would be using it every game. But without that, I don't see the benefit,
Yeah, the backseaters did make me do that, and I was
really?
successfully keybinding my creep tumor, and then I checked when you double tap your keybind, which usually should bring it to the actual thing. It was bringing me to the same creep tumor basically.
Oh, it brings you to the dead tumor?
Like, no, it's like the next one, the new one. So usually when you are like selecting all the hatcheries and giving them one hotkey, when you press it like multiple times, it might jump, right? Because you jump to the closest to whatever. But when you are looking, like, for example, at one hatchery or 2 or whatever hatcheries, it jumps to the closest one, which not often is the same one, and it's just bringing you, it's automatically adding the new creep tumor which you made from the previous one, which is cool and everything, but it's still not working, as like you cannot still like jump by pressing that hotkey at like camera hotkeys. That would be like really convenient. Then it would be, as you say, you just press that hotkey twice and then you just press the button and you spread it, and then you just click it on, like you double tap that, like C for spreading, right? Mouse flying around, and then double tap, and then you do it, and then it would be like something like you could actually have a in cycle. Now it just, that hotkey thing is not doing anything.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Like, why would I spend the actions to hotkey my creep tumors when, like, I'm almost definitely going to lose my creep tumors throughout the game and have to do that multiple times in the game, right? And like, if I'm already doing that, it's like I might as well just control click the tumor and spread it, it feels just as fast. So I don't know. Sax, have you tried that change at all? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Me and my widow mines trying to spread widow mine tumors,
Yeah. All right, well, we've been yapping for a while. I think we should probably close things out with what are like overall thoughts that you guys have on the patch, because we've played a lot of games now and seen some tournaments and things like that. So how do you guys feel overall about this patch?
I think the sentiment that opening up the game slower is well placed. It does feel that way. It's a little obnoxious Like it feels like a step backwards. I agree, but I also kind of like some of the unforeseen consequences that I can't quite enumerate or really highlight in words. But I feel like the game's taken a different direction, and it's given us opportunity to explore a game, or like we were talking about this earlier, like how it kind of feels like we're new to the game again. It's
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
Well-
Autopilot.
Yeah. No, I brought that up earlier before you were here. Actually, I was talking about how just the fact that you can't autopilot alone kind of makes you enjoy the micro decisions again.
Yeah.
Sugarcult, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I would say it's much more inclusive towards newer people who are joining in, and I wouldn't say that there are people who are newer people. At least in my streams now and then we have the brave souls which are like, ooh, I want to get into this game, what do I do, and that sort of stuff. So this is like giving them more breathing room, plus the new ages of scrolling and everything. You have this attention deficit, so you now have these 3 minutes of time to actually focus on the game. Not you focus before the game, but when you have pressed the cue in, right, and the game is starting, you are not like immediately pressured to actually do super efficient stuff. You can actually like take a breath, count to 10, and maybe meditate a little bit for a minute, and then
Yeah.
you are starting the game normally. So in inclusiveness, it's like really cool, especially if we talk about like growing the community, like getting it back bigger, as we are expecting that it might reduce over the times, because most of the people who played it whenever it came out is probably dead already. I would say I like the change in general. I see a lot of logical, like in general, the logical decisions which are made based on the statistics. The question is if it's gonna be same as URA is saying, that it's like 3 months of time that he needs to make changes now in between the 3 months, and it's gonna be like yearly 3 months which we get some changes, or it's gonna be a little bit more often than that. If we get these hot fixes and adjustments, whatever, for whatever reasons, just out of interest, in like once and a half a year or something like that, then I would see this as a great opening towards that, because if we could go back, right, we can go like now, the after half year we can go for 9 workers, and after a year we could go for 10, and after 2 years we are back on the 12 and everything's fine and dandy, and we are playing good old thing, and then the loop starts again. then we are starting again. So in general, my thought is that this is a nice thing that has happened. I didn't like the tempo that it happened, because as we talked already with Ace, that was those 3 weeks, and then suddenly it goes live. Not like it didn't look like the intern actually looked at the spreadsheets before he made the changes, because I believe there was a couple days in between. So it was like the PTR came, then it was 3 weeks of testing, then it was the hotfix, and then it was 2 days and it gone live, the first version with some adjustments.
Yeah.
So it was like the intern didn't have time to actually look at the spreadsheets, like really does that work. I think there should have been at least a week. So other than that, I think it's okay. We have again to explore everything as if new, especially those people like me who don't really understand the game fully. At least that's what we are told so constantly by backseaters. And yeah, I think it's a good thing. It keeps me rolling, keeps me playing, and yeah, it's cool. It's cool. There is obviously a room to grow, and we all do, and we'll see how it goes. Like, give me, I don't know, another like 2 weeks or month, and then maybe I will have like some sort of conclusions. Because right now I think in 2 weeks I don't think we can talk much about the big changes that has happened and how the actual meta looks. It's still switching a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, I think my thoughts on this are kind of hard to express right now because honestly, it's like what I said from the start is that I think that the goals of this patch are good goals, but I think the approach is a sledgehammer when what we needed was a scalpel. And I'm worried about the impact that this is going to have. Having said that, now that the patch is out and it's been getting some changes and we've been playing it, seeing tournaments on it and stuff like that, I am definitely enjoying the game. And I've seen others enjoying the game as well, and things feel fresh and interesting. And, slowing things down a little bit in the early game, I might hate that. But, I mean, if it gets new players into the game, I'm willing to sacrifice the 45 seconds of my ladder games. You know what I mean?
It's brought my TVP up to 60%. I can't complain.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, my TVP, sorry, my ZVP has been above like 30-something% for the first time in many years. I'm not complaining.
I don't immediately quit when I see Protoss on the loading screen.
Right. But I mean, I'm joking here, but like that is sort of the other part of it, which is like, I still can't help but wonder, is this the right change for the game? And also, how crazy biased am I? Because I fucking hated this until the larva buff happened. And then I'm like, this is not bad. I could get used to this. This is kind of fun. I think we might be saving StarCraft, guys.
There's something to be said. If the Zerg race as a whole, if the player base that plays Zerg as a whole is feeling left out and neglected, and they start trailing off, you're losing a large player. You're losing 33% of your
shit. Do I have to bring out the charts? God, I can do this real quick. I'm trying to end the show before my headphones die.
Yeah.
but I'm gonna pull up the stats right now and give my little spiel on this, because there's a lot of people who are looking right now at this performance chart right now, and they're losing their minds over this because they're seeing Zerg with plus 167 points on the performance difference chart, and this looks kind of crazy, right? I mean, like, if you just look at the graph like this, I mean, it's like, whoa, Zerg is crazy strong, right? It looks scary, When you put it into context, you can understand a little bit more that Protoss has been overperforming, because this 0 line right here is balanced. This is 50%. Protoss being above right here for many years. This is 2020. And keep in mind, this adjusts over time. This is the difference in expected performance versus actual performance. So what this chart is saying is Protoss players are performing better than they're expected to. Like, they're beating opponents who are better than them consistently for many, many years. And every time that happens, the Protoss player's ranking gets adjusted, because now they're more expected to win. If you beat that person once, it's more likely than you're going to beat them again, right? So for years, Protoss has been beating players that they're not expected to beat. Their ratings improve. Now they're expected to beat better opponents, and they continue to beat even better opponents. And that has continued for many years. So when we're looking at this chart, you have to keep that in mind.
You're asking me to have context as a gamer?
Context? What? Yeah. And then the other thing, we're just going to look at, I think it's race stats. If we look at, this is like, if we look at GM stats over time. So this is mostly Legacy of the Void, if I remember right. Legacy of the Void starts around here. I can't remember. But right around here was the Void Ray meta. and a few other changes like mothership core getting removed and shield battery getting introduced and battery overcharge. That was all kind of happening in this period. And then after that, you can see Zerg GMs dropped off a cliff. We were like pretty balanced right here, and then Protoss skyrockets up and Zerg starts falling. Recently, we've had some changes here, and things are starting to get a little bit more towards balance.
Look how steady Terran has been.
Yeah, look how steady
And we get
Terran
so
has
much
been.
black.
Dude, Terran, oh man. I feel like so happy for you guys, and like not in like a hating jealousy way. Like I wish every race was balanced the way Terran is. It's like the race is so complete. Like anyway, that's my rant. I just had to explain this a little bit because I see a lot of people freaking out over this chart right here, and they're not quite understanding that you have to put this in the context of several years of Protoss overperforming for like 6 years or something like that. I keep fucking up the zoom here. Hard to click the edge. Good. But yeah, you can see it right there. Rant over.
I like it.
All right. You guys have any other thoughts you want to share?
No,
we end the show here.
Empty space up here in my brain.
Empty space up here. All right.
From me, it's 3 a.m. So
oof. Sorry to keep you up so late,
I have only one thing that I have a conclusion. So before the patch, I was joking about my triangle of truth, which is that the Terran is the easiest race, the Protoss is the hardest, and the Zerg is imbalanced. So somehow after the patch, it has come true. So don't make me guilty that I have manifested this into reality. It's a fake. It's a fake. It's a delulu. It's gonna go away over the time. It's gonna pass. Everything's gonna be all right. Everything's
calm
gonna
down.
be okay.
Put your pitchforks away.
Yeah. Can you joke that Terran is OP? I need a.
But if you think about that statement, that triangle of truth, the Terran is the easiest. So technically it is OP because it's very easy to play it and you can be strong with it. You see, the Protoss is the hardest because once you obtain it, you are really skilled player and you are actually playing really good the game. And the Zerg is imbalanced because technically it is really, really good and it's really, really strong now and then. But after a while, it becomes really, really shit. And nothing has changed in between. So
why do I feel the impulse to laugh when I hear you say Protoss and good player in the same sentence?
Hey, Protoss is hard because you face
Yes.
really hard opponents because you get boosted so far.
you see, but there is really, really, really little amount of good Protoss players because the race is that hard. That's the point.
Or it's just boring.
Shh, don't mention that.
What are you talking about? Warcraft 3 is just as exciting as Starcraft 2. I'm glad you got the joke. All right. Well, we've been yapping for close to 2 hours now. I want to thank Sugarcult once again for joining me. It was a blast. Good talking to you again. It's been a while. And Sax, a good talking to you. It's been a while. It's been a whole 4 hours since I've talked to you.
Man, you've gotten so much
nice
taller.
chatting with you again.
All right, see y'all.
No, it was good having you on. I've been meaning to have you on eventually, so I'm glad we finally got to do that.
Definitely. It'll happen again. I'll have more to contribute next time, other than just Protoss hate.
Not just the Protoss hate. I mean, you got to bring that, though. That's a requirement.
Yeah. Keep my Terran friends close, but my Protoss enemies closer. All right. See y'all.
See ya. And thank you, everybody watching here now and in the future on YouTube. I hope you all enjoyed the show, and we will catch you all next time.